Hey, how cool is this, huh? What's in the background there? Yep, it's the Capitol. I'm just 80 yards down from the Senate office building. Um, the Capitol's right across the street. I've actually been frustrated. I haven't been able to pick that up in any of the video logs I've done so far. So there it is. It's about 9:20. I just got out of the Library of Congress. Um, Friends, it so would be so possible for you to totally misunderstand my silence. Since the inst- the instance the instant of me coming to complete clarity that $30,000, $60,000 was not going to be spent on giving me more years here, when $30,000 would keep 60,000 of my children alive for an additional day, 50 cents a day. Since then, I've been in a wonderful, peaceful, joyful, all-out sprint. Yes, I was before, but it's more intense now. As I've shared, the best I can tell, before the tumors were detected in my liver, the oncologist said I had a 50, 60% chance of making 5 years, provided I got chemo. Instantly that the two tumors in my liver were discovered. That went down to 20% by 5 years. And from what I can tell online, chemo roughly doubles your odds. So I'd have a 10% chance of making 5 years, a 45% chance of making 2 years, I guess. Um, I'm I'm only betting on 9 months, and and from starting from the beginning of this year, which would be September. Who knows? But that's what I'm betting on, and I'm living accordingly. Um, it could be sooner that and I'm guessing that halfway there, so come May or June, I'm expecting to start being debilitated as this thing eats me up. Maybe it'll be 2 years from now. Maybe it'll be a miracle, but I mine isn't to count on any of that. I'm operating not on a worst case scenario, but on an expected case scenario, realizing that once it's too late for me to function, it's too late for me to decide that I should have been more focused and tried harder and worked harder. Um, I don't operate that way. I take the best facts I can, and then I do what I have to try and get the work done in that time frame. So I'm in a joyful, all-out sprint. I I don't know why, since I was my earliest memories as a spoiled, incredibly spoiled, clueless, stupid young child, ignorant. I mean, literally ignorant. My head was empty. I thought I was supposed to have a great impact, and yet I do know why, because that's how my father lived. He felt he was supposed to have a great impact on his family, on his students. He was a nationally renowned, including television, um, teacher of piano, and then in his early 50s, he threw that over and devoted his superlative teaching skills to creating materials to teach underprivileged kids, largely black, in Newark, New Jersey. Um, his materials generated stellar results, and because they were not of the dominant corporations, it wound up being killed by them and going nowhere. But he devoted his prime years, 50 to when he died in his 70s, full out sprint to that work. So I do know where my sense that I was supposed to do great things. I had a dad that did great things, and I adored him, and I adore him, and I absorbed him in my pores. He was maniacally focused as I am. So he's of a type. I'm of a type. And it's the Jesus type. It's the Teresa of Calcutta type. It's the Oscar Romero type. It's the Alice Paul type. It's the Diane Nash type. So within the type, you have ones that do it really well and ones that do it really poorly. I'll let you sort out where I fall. But I'm absolutely of that type. Have been since I was a young child. It may have just been pleasantry, but a high school student. There have been 2 or 3 times that somehow I've glanced. I've seen a headline on Facebook or email, and I've responded. Once to my dearest, and I saw a flurry of high school acquaintances trying to friend me. So I said yes, and I saw a note from one, and she said, who I barely knew, and she barely knew me. She said, you were always so strong and so intense. How about that, intense? I am that, aren't I? But I hadn't thought I was at that time, but she said so. I was such a zero all the way through high school, and yet it was said of me, maybe it was just gratuitous kindness, that I walked to a different drummer. My dearest and I shared a love-hate relationship for a kid's book called Pickles the Fire Cat. It was such an odd book about this cat that just didn't fit in any place. It was kind of ugly. It turns out he was destined to be. It was a stray, I think, but by the end he's a fire cat and a very important part of the team. I relate to that. Well, what's my point in all this? I'm not done, friends, and I have not made the difference. I'm doing my best. I feel really good about what I've tried to do, about my effort. I get an A for effort. It's all my dad ever asked of me. And it's what Gandhi says is correctly is full success. Full effort is full success. I get that. But I also get that the next 200 billion children are going to be living on planet hell unless one of us or multiple of us start the unviolent revolution to save them. And I sure haven't so far. Well, I'm not done. And when I die, I'm not done. The spirit that I leave, the example that I leave, the materials that I leave, maybe they'll do it. Maybe they, alongside what Jesus left, and Adler and Frankl and Romero and Teresa of Calcutta, Joan of Arc, Diane Wilson, maybe alongside of them. I don't expect so, but there's so much at stake I have to try. Now, Einstein said the test of sanity, or the indication of insanity, is trying to do the same thing, is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. My dialoguing with anyone, including each of you, has precipitated no change, nothing dramatic. And unless someone precipitates a significant change in themselves and then in someone else, and then in someone else, our kids are done. Our next 200 billion kids are done. So my dialoguing has been impotent, has been a waste. I wanted to do this in a video log so you could have some evidence as to whether I'm, oh, passive aggressive here, or dissing, or, oh, you're not listening to me. This isn't about you, it's about me. I'm responsible for using what little time I've got left to maximal benefit or advantage for our children. And I need to own up and face up to what definitely hasn't been working, my dialoguing. So I'm just in an all-out sprint to try and leave the learnings, the message, the image, the video logs, the library, which is why I was just in the Library of Congress. If you go to my library tab, click on it, and click on the first link, that will take you to a place called the Pirate Bay, where, like Robinhood, I've illegally put up 170 crucial classic books. I've turned many into audiobooks. I've put up some important movies. It's my DNA. They're my DNA. And I know that they could be the DNA of someone else now, 1,000 years from now, 10,000 years from now. When I start to go unfunctional, I expect that I'll turn myself into the FBI for the theft. And I've taken thousands of dollars of software, for videos and scanning and editing scanned documents and whatnot. But you need to check that out. That's actually taken much of my time in recent weeks. I feel that I should try and do another book. The writings, the sayings from my blogs that I think are the most important. If you're not using what I've put up in that library, 2 Tolstoy items, A Calendar of Wisdom and Wise Thoughts for Every Day. They're both of the same motif. If you don't use them every day, boy, are you cheating yourself. I am. I may well turn out something along those lines if I'm given the time and not arrested before then, which would be fine. Just like Robinhood was totally down with what he did, I'm totally down with this library that I've built and made available. But it's also right. I'm in favor of lawfulness, and when the time is right, I will turn myself in. It'll probably deprive me of reading those books in my final days, which I dearly wanted to do, and of a comfortable hospice, but doesn't matter. But my reason for all this, friends, was not to ramble at you or to deprive myself of sleep. I need to turn in. But you're so in my heart, and it could be deeply troubling to you that I don't read, let alone respond to Facebook entries or emails. It's not because I don't love you. It's because I do love you. I've not succeeded for you so far, except in my effort, but not in the results. And I haven't succeeded for our next 200 billion kids. And clearly, I'm impotent when it comes to dialoguing. It turns out to be dialoguing for itself. I'm unable to penetrate people's heads and minds. So I will not be admonished by Einstein. I will not keep trying to do what has failed in all my years. Pretty cool, that shot of the Capitol in the background, huh?